Today, I want to get a little bit vulnerable with you. There was many years I was what people would call a Delulu coach. I was in the concept of coaching. I would evaluate it. I would go get more information, but I would never actually do what it would take to actually get the wisdom in my mindset and skill set and actually be able to build a successful business. So today I want to break on down the difference I see in people, because as I'm coaching thousands of soul-based coaches, I find there's a real big distinction between the two. And I want to show you some of the indicators and what to look for in yourself so that you can become a successful coach instead of a Delulu coach. Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Hi there, and welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. I'm Dr. E, Doctor of Divinity and Master Spiritual Coach. And today's topic is near and dear to my heart. As someone who has taken many years to get to where I am, you don't have to take as many years as I did, for sure. Today, I have trained over 10,000 soul-based coaches. I'm the founder of Spiritual Psychology School and Soul Society Community. But let me tell you, there was many years where I definitely look back and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so delulu. So I want to help you really take a look at yourself and get radically honest so that you stop being a Delulu coach and start being a successful coach. So let's begin with the obvious. So out there in the world right now, there's a lot of intense news, awful things happening across the globe. But this is the difference I see between people who are Delulu versus successful. The Delulu coaches are using everything going on in the world as another excuse. They're getting stressed out, they're getting distracted, they're doing all these things because it's another self-fulfilling prophecy of their delusion. The truth is they're just not committed to getting the results that they wanted, right? So successful coaches create real businesses. Delulu coaches stay in endless preparation, constantly getting information. Successful coaches clear and do their inner work. They do their subconscious work. They know, hey, this is part of the doingness of going into meditation, going into that deep work. But Delulu coaches they scroll on Instagram or wherever all day long. They talk about the concept of spirituality. They talk about the concept of meditation instead of actually doing the work. Successful coaches actually get into session work. They get into all their mindset and their skill set work and actually get the results. Delulu coaches basically overanalyze. They talk about the concept of transformation. They talk about the concept of breakthroughs, but they don't actually get into the subconscious mind to have the breakthrough. Another thing that I've definitely noticed is successful coaches burr their soul's mission. They know they don't go out like Delulu coaches and look to everyone else on platforms, try and analyze, figure out, and get in something that's external. Successful coaches know, and they know that they've got to go do the deep work to transform and birth their soul's purpose. Another distinction is successful coaches prioritize action. We know that even when we're doing prayer, even when we're doing any kind of deep meditation or visioning or even journaling, we're doing it for clarity. We're doing it for divine inspired action. Delulu coaches focus and analyze why it's so hard, right? So they're literally finding, analyzing, and maybe journaling and contemplating all the reasons why it's so hard. And this is really the delusion versus success. You're either focusing on all the moving parts, or you're focusing on the moving parts to find the clarity. And another thing that successful coaches do is they execute even with imperfection. They don't look to be perfect before they begin to implement things. The Delulu coaches stay in the concept. They're in the concept of it for years. So don't be Delulu. How do I know this? Because I was that for so many years, okay? I remember for years, I would be, getting the next book, getting the new information, getting into this person's email campaigns, getting into this funnel, getting into whatever. Back in the day, there was not a lot of technology, but still, it was just like searching around. It was just like, oh, if it flies in by my consciousness, then I'll get it. If it happens to come through my email, maybe I'll do it, right? There was no order. There was no considering like, I need to do my inner work. Let me find the best mentor and person that's going to get me to be able to do the deepest inner work, right? If I was doing business, instead, I would just like look around, I'd have a concept. I would think one day when I gather all the information, then I'm going to launch a coaching business. Instead of thinking, what do I really need to do? And let me actually get somebody that actually knows what they're doing and let me get committed to it. Commitments go like this. The successful coach gets committed. So what does that mean? Commitment, you can't be 97% committed or 99% committed. You're either committed or you're not. What does commitment look like? Commitment looks like you're going to do whatever it takes to have that goal or dream fulfilled. There's no consideration that it's not going to happen. There's no whatever. The Delulu coach basically is always looking for the reason why they can't make it happen. They're searching and they're staying busy and they're getting distracted and they're constantly talking about it like a concept. It's a fantasy world. They're living in the ethereal all the time. And we get it. There's times to go deep, to step into that ethereal, to go into the soul, to go into the subconscious mind and really clear out all those energetics. But that's specific. That is a goal in of itself. But most people are doing it are just kind of haphazardly doing it. There's no real intention of I'm going to go in and deal with this one block that I have. So what's the answer? What I would say and what I would say to myself or anyone is we want to take a look at the gap, right? We want to take a look at where are you now versus where do you want to be? And I always say if there's only one thing that someone gets out of like a strategy session with me or a discovery call or coming to one of my events is for them to actually reveal what they are actually committed to. Because if there is a Delulu coach and maybe they actually don't really want to be a coach, right? They want to be maybe they just love learning. Maybe they want to keep it as a hobby. But it's really important to actually get radically honest with yourself and take a look at what are you actually committed to? Not as a commitment of having to have motivation or, some type of like will to make it happen, but rather something that you have to surrender to. You're so committed to it that you can't deny it. And you really have to no longer suffer by actually fulfilling upon that commitment. So when someone comes to that revelation and realizes, hey, I'm actually really committed to becoming a successful coach. I'm tired. I'm tired of going around in circles. I'm tired of just gathering more information. I'm tired of being disorganized. I'm tired of the suffering and feeling like I'm a fraud going out there saying that I'm doing coaching when I don't actually have any clients. I know that's like, I was there for many years. I felt like, wow, something's wrong with me. I'd been doing so much work, but I wasn't able to turn it into a business. I was thinking, wow, am I just completely delusional around, my dream? And I had to get radically honest with myself. Another thing that successful coaches do is they know that if they want paying clients that are investing in them, they need to pay and invest in coaches. That's universal law. So I realized that I had been investing a lot of money in my healing work. I'd been investing a lot of money in my spiritual work. I've been investing a lot of my transformational work, but I hadn't invested any in business coaching. I hadn't invested in my development of my skill set around business. So no wonder I was becoming really amazing at all the mindset stuff. I was becoming really having out of body experiences. I was being able to channel. I was being able to do all these things. But spiritual work is very different than business. Spiritual work is very in the ethereal, and you can manifest and do all kinds of things without the exchange of money. And you can manifest. I've experienced so many incredible things traveling around the world, having, incredible relationships and experiences, everything. But business is very different. The skill set of business is different. So it wasn't until I really began to invest in business coaches and learning and investing my time, effort, and everything into that I began to actually get paying clients that were willing to invest in me because I was willing to invest in that. So we have to know that Delulu coaches think that they should manifest something without having to give something. And that's not how universal law works. Universal law works where you have to give whatever you desire. If it's love, you have to give love first. If you desire money, you have to give value and give service, right? And it doesn't even necessarily come back in the exact same way or from the exact same person, but it has to come back. So that brings me to the universal law distinction of this week. There's only one universal law. It's the law of oneness, but we have a weekly universal law distinction. So a year of universal law distinctions. And this week's universal law distinction is the universal law of correspondence. So this law states that as within, so without, right? So whatever is occurring in our life, if we're having a Delulu experience of our coaching, it's not manifesting, it's not demonstrating in prosperity or anything. It's because something is going on at a soul conscious level, right? We have a limited belief, maybe that I'm not enough. I'm not worthy of having a career that I actually love that has lots of prosperity in it, right? So whatever the belief is, or whatever, I'm not smart enough to do that, or something's wrong with me, or no one cares about me, or I'm alone anyway, whatever it may be, it's going to outpicture in our coaching business as well. So the law of correspondence understands that everything is a reflection. It all comes from consciousness through the mind, body, spirit, through universal law, and it's reflecting back. It's the mirror. So if we want something to correspond as having a successful coaching business, we have to deal with the consciousness. So instead of just being Delulu and just doing everything and pretending like it's all okay, look, we all have limitations. I'm not going to say someone's born successful. That would be like, that's just not reality. The reality is most successful people, they came from, hard times also. They came from everything. It's just the difference is they got committed to doing the work, to doing whatever it took in their mindset and skill set to have a successful coaching business. So if you're new here, you can actually go below here and you can grab the free Universal Law calendar. When you click on that, it'll go right onto your calendar. You can actually get the energy update each week, and there is a Universal Law lesson along with the energy update, along with a weekly affirmation and a weekly journal prompt as well. So this week's weekly affirmation is I choose to see life as the ultimate mirror guiding me to the highest version of myself. If you are still a Delulu coach, it's okay. I have been there, but don't keep being a Delulu coach. Otherwise, you're going to be suffering, and we don't want to see you suffering anymore. We want to see you actually fulfill upon your life's mission, clear your energetics, and really be able to experience all the depths of your soul and form, along with prosperity, vitality, and love. So let's know the truth together. Bringing our hands together, taking a deep breath in, just recognizing the truth right here, right now, the ultimate mirror. Everything is the mirror, all the outpicturing, all the demonstration, manifestation. And I recognize wherever it is that we're not experiencing what we desire, that there is something inside of each and every one of us. There is a clarity, there is a soul's purpose, there is a soul's mission, there is a very specific soul's assignment. And I recognize that everyone can master their mindset and their skill set if they decide to. The power decision with that, and knowing the success of whatever decision, the fulfillment upon it by the commandment of your word. That is the true power. It is the knowingness, the consciousness backed by the feeling with the conviction of the heart. And so I just say yes, because universal law only says yes. It just responds with a yes. And so I command exactly what I decide for myself. I simply say this with universal law, as together we say, and so it is. And so it is. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. If you're in the school, I will see you in class on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have practice and triad calls where all the practitioners and coaches come into session where they get the inner work done, they give the inner work, and they witness, and they give feedback and testimonials and everything there. And then we have a Thursday Community Souls Sessions call now as well. So if you are ready to have support, a community, and fulfill upon becoming a successful practitioner coach, you definitely want to click some links below and come on into the community. Okay? Have a beautiful, blessed day, you guys, and may you live the truth.